Due to the nature of leftism, there can be quite a lot of different types out there, which can be really daunting to people new to the whole thing. And what makes this worse is that it's actually really difficult to go out of research and find the distinct differences between each one and what they advocate for. So in this video, I'm going to make a list detailing the different ideologies in leftism and the differences between them. So let's get going. Here's a list of all the ones I'm going to be going through. Timestamps are in the description if you want to skip to either one. Right, so let's start with Marxism. Marxism is the basis for all communism that the other ideas are built up upon. Marx described communism as a classless, stateless, currencyless society and uses the terms socialism and communism interchangeably. Marxism talks about how under capitalism there is a constant class struggle between the ruling class and the working class, and he goes on to say that once the working class gain consciousness, which is essentially becoming aware of the unjust position that they're in under capitalism, they'll rise up and overthrow the ruling class through violent revolution. After this, a dictatorship of the proletariat would be set up to act as a state to oversee the shift from capitalism to communism, and would eventually wither away as it would no longer be needed. Proletariat in this case meaning the working class. Right, so next up is Leninism. Leninism is an extension from Marxism, and Lenin went on from Marx to establish that communism and socialism are two different things, which is what most leftists go by today. Lenin said that instead of going from the dictatorship of the proletariat to communism, or rather under Leninism the Vanguard Party, which would be led by a group of the most class-conscious revolutionaries at the time, the revolution would go from a Vanguard Party, which would then take over the means of production. This is called state capitalism, where the means of production are owned by the state. The Vanguard Party, which after stabilizing the country which had just had a revolution, would shift to socialism by transferring the means of production to the workers. After decades of successful socialism, communism would come about, which would be what Marx originally described. Leninism is what was applied in the Russian Revolution, and as we can see, there was a problem where the Vanguard Party never transferred the means of production to the workers, and this can be attributed to the conditions at the time and the fact that Lenin died shortly after the revolution, but most socialists, and even Leninists like myself, believe that this is a problem that needs to be addressed. Luxemburgism is an extension of Marxism and similar to Leninism in most ways, but the difference is that while Leninism believes in a vanguard party, which is quite centralized and takes control of everything, Luxemburgism believes that every industry should be run by individual democratic councils of workers. Luxemburgism has never been attempted in the real world, although it was in Germany that Rosa Luxemburg tried to start a revolution where she fatefully lost her life. Trotskyism is an extension of Leninism, which deals with going from feudalism straight to socialism before capitalism has properly developed, like in Russia. While it was important at the time, it's not as relevant anymore as there are no real feudal states left. However, there are also important distinctions that Trotskyism has from Leninism. Firstly, Trotskyism says that socialist revolution cannot properly finish until the revolution is worldwide. This is because, as we saw in the USSR, the Vanguard Party state is isolated and attacked from the rest of the world, making it much more difficult to shift to socialism. Trotsky also criticized the USSR by calling it a degenerated workers' state due to the bureaucracy that had taken hold of it, and that the bureaucracy had to be removed with another revolution or the state would eventually revert back to capitalism, which I suppose it did. Right, so now we're going to do anarchy, and we're going to do three different types here, so anarcho-collectivism, anarcho-communism, and anarcho-syndicalism. And I've grouped these three together in one bit as they're all quite similar with a few differences. Anarchy is about removing private property and giving the means of production to the workers. However, unlike Leninists, for example, they do not believe in the dictatorship of the proletariat or any kind of state at all. Because of this, with anarchism you'd be going straight from capitalism to socialism, instead of having a state capitalism phase in between. Under collectivism, people would receive resources based on the work that they contribute to the commune. Under communism, resources would be allocated where they are needed. Anarcho-syndicalism is a method of how to get to either collectivism or communism by organizing the working class with unions and strikes, then taking worker action. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about leftism, then as well as subscribing, please check out Bunker Mag. They're a site for leftist discussion and analysis of today's world. They have good and frequent content, so check them out in the description. Alright, and lastly, anarcho-capitalism. I'm sorry, no, that's not a real ideology, come on guys.